Some homeless call RVs home and other RVers get evicted from a mobile home park. People are using RVs to profit from the homeless. A new trend called Vanlords is hitting LA. 70 rundown RVs line a 2-mile stretch of road. There are an estimated 4,000 citywide.
In the shadows of Mount Hollywood, next to studio lots in the LA Rvers, sits one of the city's fastest growing neighborhoods. Zoned for open space and commercial use these days, Forest Lawn Drive is almost entirely residential.
When I became homeless is during all the rain, so it was really, really rough.
Lorna and her dogs live in a parked RV on Forest Lawn. She moved here after what she described was the worst week of her life, sleeping on the streets during a winter storm after spiraling into homelessness. Her RV is one of 70 along this 2-mile long corridor.
Crazy.
70 of an estimated 4,000 citywide.
As areas get cleaned up, it kind of just gets more and more concentrated in these industrial areas.
Tyler Stratton owns a business in an industrial part of Chatsworth. He worries about safety every day.
Not only safety for violence necessarily, but as you're picking up trash with the fentanyl crisis as well and drug use, that's also a prevalent thing. So
you just never know what you're going to be picking up. Now, not everybody's a drug user or whatever, but still, you know, you don't know what's lying around in those trash bags. Now, most, if not all of the RVs are not registered and are towed to the location where they're parked. The rigs are bought at auction and on Craigslist by these Vanlords. These basic shells on wheels are then rented out. Hardly anything in these RVs work, including the toilets, but even if they did, there's no way to dump the tanks. Now, the occupants use, gym memberships to use bathrooms and showers, and others, well, they just improvise.
Vanlords, as LA City Council member Tracy Park calls them, typically buy RVs at auction, then either drive or get them towed to their location of choice. They're often parked illegally or hooked up to rogue power systems and are in the Wild West of rental agreements with neither landlord nor tenant protections.
A lot of times the inhabitants of the vehicle don't know the name of the person who they rented it from. They don't have
any information on these people. So that would, the next thing is, who are these folks? Who are these Vanlords?
There is a new crazy trend that people are capitalizing on in LA. They're buying an RV, parking it on the side of the road, and then renting it out to homeless people.
So-called Vanlords are renting out RVs to people who are now using them as their permanent residence.
At this point, there are over 4,000 of these things that are parked all over the city, just lining the streets. This Vanlord, Greg William, owns 15 of these, and he's charging between $600 and $800, which means that he's bringing in as much as $8,000 per month in rental income. Apparently, the city is trying to crack down on this trend. I wonder how long it's going to last.
So yes, the city is trying to do something about it. Well, what exactly are they trying to do?
Councilmember Park says there's a moratorium on towing these types of RVs because of a pending lawsuit. Even the threat of doing so gets divisive quickly for fears of criminalizing homelessness. So she's taking a different approach.
We're working to change our municipal code to cover the sale and leasing of RVs on our public streets.
Her motion would require RVs meet stricter standards before sale. It would directly impact Greg Williams' business, which he says he's fine with.
Yeah, well, there you go. Cracking down. And yet, shouldn't there be some kind of regulations for these automobiles, these vehicles? Shouldn't they meet some kind of standard before they're dumped along the street and have people rent them out? This is just one example of things like this. I'm sure it happens in other places. I mean, conditions like this, coupled with RVers overstaying their welcome and setting up camps in Walmart parking lots and commercial neighborhoods, are shining a negative spotlight on the RV community. I will admit that I often complain that the nomads never take responsibility and blame the locals all the time. Well, this is a case where, yes, it is indeed the locals. That does not, however, negate the fact that full-timers abuse opportunities and situations. Walmarts, Cracker Barrels, and even BLM land is abused by many. This is not to say all, but it does give some explanation as to why more overnight or no RV parking signs are becoming more and more prevalent. So when people see these RVs lined up in these conditions, it's no surprise that someone would get the knock and be asked to move along. Now, be mindful of this when you're stealth camping or overnighting in a commercial area. We know you want to live full-time in your RV, van, car, or whatever, but others want to have their neighborhoods and business areas that they pay for to be clean, safe, and livable as well, right? Now, this leads me to yet another RV story. A mobile home park in Tennessee has to evict RVers. Now, the park was approved for 45 mobile home pads. The RVs that are there, no, they must go, though, because they violate a town ordinance.
Well, that's right, Bo. Several of those we talk with are disabled and living on the edge. Country Acres Estates was opened in 1987. The out-of-the-way park was approved for 45 mobile home pads, but the town of Louisville says because there are RVs and campers on the property, they have to leave. Pam Brazel and Dewey Nguyen are neighbors. Mr. Nguyen looks out for her after Pam was injured a few months ago. She's lived in her RV for more than a year. So is he.
Over a year.
The big Country Acres Estates in the town of Louisville because it's peaceful, safe, and out of the way. But about a dozen people will have to move their homes by the end of June.
By the end of June, they got to go. 11 RVers will be displaced. Most are travel trailers or fifth wheels. So that brings an issue of cost to get the rig moved. But the bigger problem is that there is nowhere to move to. Other parks in the area, even kind of close by or not so close by, are either full or only have stays for no longer than maybe a few weeks or a month. This leaves these longtime residents of this park with little time and little option.
You're going to have less than a month to find a place.
Yeah. Yes.
Will you be able to do that?
No. No, I will not.
No, she will not. So yeah, tell me what you think. Leave me a comment below. So yeah, I want to hear what you have to think, because you don't have to agree with me. That's never the point here. The point is,
I'm BlindViews, and that's how Bandit and I see it.
What we do here is go back.